After weeks of upsets, insane comebacks, and NBA basketball at the highest level, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. The NBA Finals. Will the Indiana Pacers do the unthinkable and beat the Oklahoma City Thunder? Or will the reigning MVP and his super team meet everyone's expectations and win the 2025 championship? We will find out very soon. But for now, how did we even get here? Indiana entered the first round as the 4th seed and were immediately confronted with the 5th seeded Bucks, who had just lost Damian Lillard through a blood clot. The rivalry was heating up again as the Pacers took game 1 at home. As already mentioned, Lillard was hurt and Kyle Kuzma didn't really pick up the slack by doing literally less than me sitting on my couch watching bums like him play. Surprisingly, Lillard came back earlier than expected and was already back on the floor in game 2, probably fueled by his intense hatred for Harley and the Pacers. But he still played like trash and Harley sent the Bucks home with a buzzer beater. The Indiana Pacers ultimately won that series in 5 and sent Giannis Antetokounmpo on his way into free agency, where he will most likely leave the Bucks for a team in the West, such as the San Antonio Spurs, the Golden State Warriors, or the Minnesota Timberwolves. Maybe he even goes to my Brooklyn Nets, but I doubt any superstar wants to join us after what happened with the super team of KD, Kyrie and Harden. Either way, if the Pacers hadn't kicked him out so early, Giannis wouldn't have been forced to switch teams, since he said himself he doesn't care for which organization he plays as long as he keeps winning. On the other side of the pond, OKC's first round wasn't very noteworthy. They coasted through the regular season, comfortably securing the first seed with a record of 68-14. Therefore, they had an easy matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies, which lost Ja Morant in game 3, right after he had them figured out.
You know, stuff I say normally go viral, but I had them figured out.
And although the rest of the team may be very talented, they could not replace a shooter like Ja.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Nonetheless, the Grizzlies even playing in the series was very surprising. By beating the incredibly healthy and defensively oriented Dallas Mavericks in the play-in tournament, they secured the death sentence against OKC. The Oklahoma City Thunder comfortably swept Memphis and advanced to the second round. Round 2 was the complete opposite for Oklahoma, as they matched up against the 4th seeded Denver Nuggets, led by our 3-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets had just played 7 games against the LA Clippers, and although Harden choked, as he usually does in game 7s, Denver still had to give it their all, just to make it to the second round. After only a few days of rest, the Nuggets consequently faced the well-rested Thunder in the playoffs, and the MVP debate between Shai and Jokic opened up once again. This series was what some believed to be a worthy NBA Finals matchup, just by how intense it was, and the narrative around the true MVP of the NBA. Ultimately, OKC won in 7, after Denver's dark horse Aaron Gordon suffered a hamstring injury in game 6, making him almost useless for game 7 in the American capital of illiteracy. Jokic also didn't play well in that game, dropping only 20 points with a plus-minus of -23. But Nikola wasn't to be blamed for how the series unfolded, because his supporting cast didn't show up for the rest of the playoffs, and it seemed like he had to carry the entire Nuggets roster on his back for 2 consecutive playoff series. Not even Jamal Murray's playoff highlights could make up for their hole on defense. Right after the second round, Shai finally won the MVP award after what seemed like a decade of already knowing the end result. The voting was over weeks before, and the media made it clear Jokic wasn't going to win his 4th MVP, as voter fatigue is more prevalent than ever and OKC having the better record. Plus a historic season on top of that. Still, very unusual of the association to announce the MVP so late into the postseason. The NBA or Adam Silver probably wanted to push ratings by making it more intense. Or maybe they didn't want to put even more pressure on SGA, as he would have faced harsh critique if he had lost to the Nuggets and still won MVP. I know, the MVP is a regular season award, but unfortunately that's what the discourse looks like at the moment. Kobe! In the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Pacers played an injured Cavs team, missing Evan Mobley, Darius Garland and DeAndre Hunter for an extended period of the series. To be fair, they came back in game 3, which the Cavs won convincingly, but the damage had already been done, as Indiana led the series 2-1 by that point. Not even Donovan Mitchell's 43 and 35-point explosions could make up for the Cavs' lack of play, and LeBron remains the sole messiah for the city of Cleveland! Maybe next season, the Cavs will have a better shot, if they don't break up their rotation too much and actually play to expectations in the next playoffs. Let's be real, nobody expected them to be this successful this season, and the playoffs proved that a stellar regular season doesn't always equate to a deep playoff run. The conference finals were the true test for Indiana. They had to face the stacked New York Knicks, who had just defeated the reigning champs Boston in 6. Damn, that rhymed. The trades in the offseason for Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges had truly worked out after a few difficulties at the start. Jalen Brunson metaphorically received the keys to the city of New York and became the most beloved player on the east side by relentlessly carrying his team. The Pacers entered the series as the underdog for the 3rd time in a row, and already in game 1 they showed why they deserved a spot in the conference finals. After leading by over 15 points in the 4th quarter, the Knicks had the biggest choke job in NBA playoff history. Aaron Nesmith turned into prime Steph Curry, hitting 8 of his 9 threes, leading up to an unforgettable Haliburton buzzer beater. Harley recreated the infamous Reggie Miller choking celebration, believing he had won the game. But his foot was on the line, and the game went into overtime, in which the Pacers secured their win over the Knicks. Why is everything rhyming I'm saying right now? After being up 2, the series was basically over, but the Knicks weren't having it. New York kept believing, as they forced a game 6 in Indiana, which the Pacers obviously had to win. Shooting 40% from 3 and 50% from 2, Indiana closed out the series and eventually led to the firing of Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau. The last playoff team with these stats were the Toronto Raptors in 2019, with the surprising finals run which resulted in the first ring ever for the Canadian expansion team. This entire series was a callback to the Pacers-Knicks rivalry from the late 90s and early 2000s and felt like a historic moment for the NBA. Both teams weren't expected to come this far, and there was bad blood between the fans. Quite literally, if you know what a Pacers fan did to 2 Knicks fans. And let's not forget him, Timothée Chalamet, the only man that can bag Kylie Jenner and make her go to Indiana for a basketball game, since the Knicks were 2-0 in the series with her attending. Timmy is a true god amongst men. But enough of the simping. Indiana won game 6 at home, and the Eastern Conference Finals MVP went to Pascal Siakam? OKC's last series before the NBA Finals was against the Minnesota Timberwolves, which nobody really expected to make it this far. According to the script, they were supposed to lose to Luka and LeBron's Lakers, but without a true center, it was a cakewalk for Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, who by the way dropped 27 and 24 in game 5. Yeah, you heard me right. In round 2, Minnesota got lucky that Curry got injured early and only played for 12 minutes the entire series, but the Thunder were a completely different beast to slay. Minnesota's attackers literally choked under the suffocating OKC defense. Jalen Williams finally came out of his shooting slump, and Shai showed why they call him a free throw merchant, not only on Twitter.
It's a reason NBA Twitter likes to call him the free throw merchant, Mike.
This series was way shorter than expected and almost too easy for the Thunder, except for the blowout in game 3 of course, after which Shai had the same look on his face as Josh Giddey when he passes a kindergarten. At the end of the day, OKC won the series convincingly, but when this matchup came, I said the Timberwolves were going to win in 7, just in order to jinx myself, as I knew I was going to be wrong, as with most of the playoff series I predicted. Let me know, what were your predictions at the end of the regular season? And what you think who will win the 2025 NBA Finals. While we're already on the topic of the finals, let's stick to our usual gimmick and predict how it's all going to go down. For the Indiana Pacers, it's their first time in the NBA Finals since a quarter century ago in the year 2000. Most of you probably weren't even born yet. Meanwhile, I was out here vibing between millennia, fresh out the womb. Thanks, mom! Contrary to popular belief, the Pacers have a realistic chance of winning it all if they continue with their great defense, forcing an excruciating amount of turnovers as they did with the Knicks. Harley has proven time and time again that he's an all-time point guard, receiving comparisons to historic greats such as Magic Johnson. Also, Chet Holmgren's physicality will be tested extensively, and not even Isaiah Hartenstein, Germany's future and my personal Ziegenbock, may be able to make up for it. SGA may also be caught in the ropes if the Pacers focus their defense mainly on him while occasionally disregarding J-Dub and other scoring options completely. That's exactly what the Denver Nuggets did for the most part, if you hadn't noticed. Shai will still be dangerous though, with the potential to make them fall out quickly. Apart from that, Siakam has championship experience in comparison to this young and unproven Thunder roster, and his current ego boost might be just what this team needs to be led over the hump. And Miles Turner, while underrated and in trade talks literally every offseason, is a force to be reckoned with, especially for Holmgren's frail frame. In the end, if the Pacers keep shooting 50% from 2 and 40% from 3, all I'm going to say is Pacers in 7. Fischers Fritz, Fischers Fritz. How did we even get here? Kobe! That's good.